When caring for others, incidents are an unfortunate fact of life. Falls, injuries, and medical emergencies are just a few of the many different types of incidents we may encounter. During this video, we will be discussing incident reports, an important piece of documentation following an incident. We will discuss when and how to fill out an incident report, as well as important tips for you to remember. In its simplest form, an incident report is just a piece of paper. But of course, in reality, it is much more than that. An incident report is a valuable piece of documentation that, when done properly, will document what happened, what was the incident, what you did about it, your interventions, as well as the subsequent condition of the person you're caring for. Now keep in mind, an incident report is different from your narrative documentation or charting that is done in the person's record. Be sure to check your policy on incident reports and understand it thoroughly. In addition to providing valuable documentation, in virtually every state, incident reports are a licensing requirement. Your state regulations will dictate when and how an incident report is to be completed, as well as to whom it is to be submitted to. This could include your state licensing agency, the individual's family, and others. We'll talk more about this later. One of the most challenging issues regarding incident reports is knowing when to fill one out. The best rule of thumb to follow is, when in doubt, fill out an incident report. If in the back of your mind you're asking yourself, does this incident that just took place warrant an incident report? Chances are the answer is yes. While there certainly are pros and cons to incident reporting, generally speaking, you're better off having filled out an incident report than you are had you not. But let's talk more specifically. State regulations generally tell us that any time an incident threatens the individual's health, safety, welfare, or rights, an incident report is to be completed. Let's discuss some specific examples of when you would fill out an incident report. Following any injury. This could include cuts, bruises, broken bones, head trauma following a fall. Anytime the individual you're caring for is injured, you should fill out an incident report. If their health is compromised in any way, this of course would include medical emergencies, heart attacks, strokes, following a medication error, if they were hospitalized or had to receive emergency medical care, if staff had to administer first aid. You'll also report any violation of their rights, including suspected violations of their rights. As a care provider, you are a mandated reporter. This could include physical abuse, emotional abuse or neglect, and possibly financial abuse, such as a family member who is mishandling the individual's money. Filling out an incident report is a fairly simple process. We will discuss 10 key steps to ensure you properly fill out your incident reports. Before you even begin to think about filling out an incident report, be sure you've handled the incident properly. Be sure that you have done all you can to ensure the well-being of the individual you're caring for, including any necessary first aid or medical attention. First, you must know and follow your policies and procedures and state regulations. Step 3. Determine if an incident report is necessary, as we've already discussed. Step 4. Talk with your supervisor. Again, following your policies and procedures, your supervisor should be involved whenever possible when filling out an incident report. Number 5, use the right form. Fill that form out completely and stick to the facts. Be sure to include in your report the interventions that you took to ensure the safety and well-being of the individual. Report to the right people. And finally, file the report properly. Be sure to store it in the correct location. Now let's talk about each of these steps in more detail. Know and follow your policies and procedures. As we discussed earlier, it's extremely important that you take the time to read and understand your policies and procedures regarding incidents and incident reporting. State regulations. Typically, your state regulations will dictate when and how to fill out an incident report, as well as with whom to file that report. We discussed in the previous section of this video how to determine if an incident report is necessary. Follow those guidelines, and remember, when in doubt, fill out an incident report. Speaking with your supervisor is important to ensure that the incident report is filled out properly and the appropriate persons are notified of the incident. Your supervisor has the necessary knowledge and experience to ensure that the incident report is handled properly. Never be afraid to turn to your supervisor regarding an incident. They are there to help you and support you through the process. Step 5 is to use the right form. Of course, it does no good to fill out an incident report if you don't use the correct piece of documentation. Typically, there is a form that is dedicated to this purpose, and it's typically called an incident report form. Pause the video now and review the incident report form used in your workplace. Step 6. Fill out the form completely. Be sure to fill in every space provided on your incident report form. While the form used where you work may vary, information typically found on an incident report includes the name of the individual affected, the date and time of the incident, what happened, where it happened, a description of any interventions that were taken, the condition of the individual, any follow-up necessary, and finally the name and signature of the person filling out the report. Some reports also include spaces for any information or comments by the physician or other medical professional attending to the individual, as well as the names of persons to whom the report was submitted. One of the most important things to remember when filling out the incident report form is to stick to the facts. You never want to put your opinion or what you think happened during the incident. You simply want to put the facts as they are known. So, for example, if you entered the individual's room and found them on the floor, and they said to you, "Help me up, I just fell out of bed," you would not put on your incident report form that Mary fell out of bed, because you did not see it happen. Rather, you would put, entered Mary's room at approximately 8 a.m., found Mary lying on the floor next to her bed. Mary stated, and then used quotation marks to point out that it was Mary telling you this, "Help me up, I just fell out of bed," close quotes. You stick strictly to the facts on your incident report. Again, never putting your opinion or what you think may have happened. Always include your interventions on the incident report. It's important to show the person who would be later reading this form that you took steps to ensure the well-being of the individual. Indicate if you provided any first aid, if you called 911, and if you spoke to any medical professionals. So, for example, if after finding Mary on the floor you suspected she may have a broken hip and called 911, you would put on your incident report, "Called 911 at approximately 8:05 a.m. Mary remained on the floor and I stayed with Mary until paramedics arrived. Paramedics transported Mary to St. Joseph's Hospital." After you have completely filled out the incident report form, you want to be sure to submit it to the correct people. Again, review your policies and procedures, your state regulations, and speak with your supervisor to ensure that the report is correctly submitted. Now, while there are many people who are notified during an incident, such as the family of the individual, their physician, etc., the incident report form itself is typically a confidential document that is only submitted to a very few select people. In many states, your state regulations will require that you submit a copy of the report to your state licensing representative. Step 10. File the report properly. It is very common for incident reports to be kept in a separate secured location outside of the individual's care record. Again, double check with your policies and procedures and your supervisor to be sure you are correctly filing the incident report form. Incident reports can be intimidating, and while we hope you'll never have to fill one out, unfortunately we know that's not true. Hopefully this video has given you the knowledge and confidence necessary to handle incident reports in your workplace. Much success to you in documenting incident reports.